We've all been told for a long time that having a lot of caffeine is not a good thing for your health. Well, folks, this just downright might not be true at all, barring you don't have some heart condition or some other really good reason not to drink coffee or have tea. And to supplement that with an example, well, we have talked in the past about the fact that higher caffeine intake was associated with a reduced risk of developing IBS. And another more recent example comes from a meta-analysis of 33 observational studies involving around 190,000 adults ranging in ages from 45 to 96 years old. And they examined the effects of higher versus lower caffeine intake on cognitive disorders, mild cognitive impairment, and the risk of dementia. The trials and how long they really followed these people, if you will, ranged anywhere from 1.3 to 28 years. Now, they had anywhere from 1 to 8 cups of coffee in a day or 0 to 5 cups of tea per day on average as a total range across 190,000 people over the years. And the results showed there was a 29 and 31% reduced risk of cognitive disorders with coffee and tea intake respectively, with higher coffee and higher tea intake, that is, respectively, compared to lower coffee and tea intake, to lower caffeine intake. So very fascinating, a dose-response relationship here, where actually the people that have had more cups of coffee or more cups of tea in a day were at a lower risk for mild cognitive impairment and dementia. And it was by about 30% on average, which is a lot, right? Pretty insane. So how much coffee exactly? Well, they showed the optimal intake in terms of reduced risk for cognitive disorders with caffeine was about 2.5 cups in a day. Those who had around 2.5 cups. Now, a little bit more could be good too. Typical recommendation isn't to go over 400 milligrams in a day, But then, you see, all right, as long as you stay under 1,000, you'll be all right. But, you have to worry about things like adrenal fatigue. You don't want to get too high, right? You don't want to stimulate the release of epinephrine and a sympathetic response for too long throughout your day, if you will. And it's not just the caffeine and coffee that's good for us, right? It also has other minerals and electrolytes and things of that nature, albeit it is a diuretic. Right? But people that had 2.5 cups, they were at the greatest reduced risk for mild cognitive impairment and dementia. And for coffee, it was about 27% itself. Now for tea, it was a 32% reduced risk of cognitive disorders. And interestingly, for every extra cup of tea somebody had throughout the day, there was an 11% additional reduced risk of developing either mild cognitive impairment or dementia at some point in their life. And that held true for up to about 6 cups in a day. Wow. Maybe a lot of caffeine isn't all that bad for us. What do you guys think? Really, really interesting. Again, this isn't generalizable to the entire population. You talk to your doctor. If you have any conditions or you're taking any medications, then you shouldn't be having a lot of caffeine. Well, that's different. But I personally, I enjoy my cup of coffee every day, my few cups, and I feel great, And, listening to your body above everything is the most important. But the reason I say that is because if it feels natural to have 2 or 3 cups, well, then fine. But if it's become a problem where you need to have 2 or 3 cups because you're just exhausted all the time, well, that's a different story, right? But a lot of us just enjoy having our morning cup of coffee. And, what's interesting, this is what I wanted to say. What's interesting is, what types of people drink a lot of coffee or maybe a lot of tea, right? Maybe not as much so for tea, but definitely for coffee. They're typically go-getters, right? They're typically people who are moving around a lot. They're typically people who are probably just healthier in general. So you can't say, if this trial was not adjusted for all confounding factors, which it wasn't, we have to take things with a grain of salt, that it's purely the caffeine that was responsible for this reduced risk, right? Albeit it may have played a major part. A lot of it could be other things that they're doing in their lives, and just the type of person, again, that comes with, right? So, when you do your research, do your due diligence, and take things with a grain of salt when appropriate. But still really cool, I think. Now, this doesn't mean you should go get a latte and put a bunch of added sugar and creamer and all this crap, like a little bit of milk or whatever, fine. But, people go to Starbucks and they get this, like, basically a dessert, I mean, that's I don't think you'd have the same benefit from that, So, how to say that. Let's see who we got on here. Say hello to the people. And we're going to get out of here and we're going to make some food, some delicious, delicious food. Probably some wild-caught salmon, frozen, because it's cheaper. And I will make a shake while it's cooking that has a cup of frozen spinach or two, a cup of frozen blueberries, some Greek yogurt with no antibiotic hormones and no added sugar. And it's going to be really great. Yeah. Maybe some flax seeds and chia seeds and hemp seeds in there. Sounds good. Yeah, black coffee. That's what I have. Ma, you're just so funny. I love you. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Sen packing Galzen. Gazolin. Sen packing Zolan. How you doing? Bull City King. Stephen Apple Blue. Steve, what's up? Matisse FRD. Stefan OG out here. DJ Forto. Josh Winter. Symphony Samuel. Ma, the first one of the day, we had Mick. Ma was close behind. Every day's for her anyway. And Robert Mickion. This was for you guys. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being quick to the bell and enjoying When Wellness. We appreciate you. We appreciate the support, and we appreciate everybody that watches these videos, and especially the people that get something out of them and apply it to their lives, or tell somebody they love to apply it to their lives, or even someone they don't love. As long as it improves somebody's life. That's the goal here at When Wellness. And, it helps us to feel comfort that, to feel comfort that I'm not wasting my time when I do these if, I hear about progress and things that you guys have been doing to be healthier and happier in your life. So I love it. Yeah, it's When Wellness is fun. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Thanks a lot. Happy When Wellness. We'll see you later. Ciao. Hey, Yo Housen. Been on a lot. Love it. And Chef O'Shea Franco. Enjoy, guys. Thanks. What can you substitute for coffee? I caught that right as I was hitting end. Tea? Besides tea, you mean? Like to drink? Just to have caffeine, are you saying? Well, things you can take if you don't like caffeine in itself. Something like theobromine is a good alternative. You find that in dark chocolate, but you can get it isolated. A few hundred milligrams in a day. But here's a great form of caffeine if you're looking for something that you can take that will give you smooth, sustained release of energy throughout the day. That would be dicaffeine malate. Yeah, Ma, you knew, yeah. She's right. Dicaffeine malate. It's caffeine bound to malic acid. And so the malic acid buffers the salts in the caffeine, and it slows its release. It provides a smooth, sustained release of energy and what feels like mental clarity as well that lasts you throughout the entire day. It's really a fantastic supplement, all natural. What's malate? Malate is an intermediate in the citric acid, aka Krebs cycle, which is an energy-producing pathway in the mitochondria of our cells. So that's a good one. Taro still being caffeine is supposed to be good too. You'll see research on capsid as well. That's not as common. It's caffeine bound to citric acid. It's also intermediate in the Krebs cycle. But taro still being caffeine is supposed to be good too. I haven't personally had it myself. It starts with a silent P. Taro still being an antioxidant we find in blueberries in highest amounts, and apparently that's got a sustained release with no crash and jitters too. But dicaffeine malate, I can personally attest to having a great feel. So if you want to go for that, bam. You guys have a great day. Thanks. I'll see you later.